This is AF Cast, the video game podcast. And here's your host, Malcolm Sheaver.
Fallout 76 was released about a year and a half ago, and since then has been a very controversial game. Either you hated the game or you loved it. There were a few people that were in the middle. At the beginning, it was filled with bugs and glitches, and Bethesda didn't allow people to refund their game, leaving everyone with a $60 game that wasn't even worth the full $60. Now, a year and a half later, we finally see the game come to life. Literally, in some ways. This week on AFCast, we will be talking about Fallout 76 Wastelanders, an update that's about a year and a half late. The very first question we should ask is it even worth playing? And I know that technically goes for everything that I review here, but in this case, and it's a special case, Fallout 76 was very, very controversial. And people who liked it even noticed all of its flaws and could see why people didn't enjoy the game. And it caused a lot of old Fallout players to really just kind of not want to play Fallout anymore, and it kind of sucks. And Bethesda has a new chance to reinvent the game with this new update, and I think they did a really good job with it. Obviously, there's still some problems with it, but that's also because this is a huge update. I can't really... I mean, I've seen other updates that are this big, but it is hard to compare because most updates aren't nearly as large as this one is. And so this will be a longer episode than most update videos because of that. So I think it's worth playing just in general, just to start that off. And so just like listen to what I have to say and figure out for yourself whether you think it's worth playing or not. But first I'm going to start off with the point that it is completely free. We've already paid $60 for the game, and for those of you who are like me and have played probably a total of about 3 hours of the game, and it's just been sitting on your shelf, then now is a really good chance to pick it up again, especially for those PC players that didn't have a good chance to buy it because it wasn't on Steam. Now it is available on Steam as well, which is really nice. But I'm really glad that Bethesda isn't making us pay for this update, because one, that would just really suck, because then they'd be getting even more money out of us for something that still couldn't be that good. So I'm glad that they did it so that way it's free, and it should bring more people back to the game, just because of how much they've changed, just that way everyone can get a feel for the game again, and see if they want to actually try and explore it fully this time. But first of all, they added a lot of NPCs into the game to make it feel, or to make it not feel devoid of life. Because before, there weren't any human NPCs in the game, and I should clarify that because I just said NPCs. There are all the robots and stuff, but before there weren't like any humans besides other players in the game. And that was kind of frustrating for a lot of Fallout fans because you're used to being able to go into different houses and speak to people, even if it's small conversation or you don't really get anything out of it. It still makes the world feel more lively. And now the NPCs will also provide a new storyline within the game, which is the Appalachian Mountains. And this is also done by text channels that was present in all of the other Fallout games, but wasn't present in this one until now. And even robots and terminals that were in the game before will now also have these dialogue options, if they're able to speak, that is, that they might not have had before. So you can have new conversations with things that you've probably talked to thousands of times. And you can get human companions now as well that will, I think they're called aides or something like that, and I don't think they're called companions, but that's basically what they are. But they'll hang around your base, and sadly you can't take them outside for them to do stuff with you. And hopefully that's just a yet type thing, so hopefully they will add that in the future. But they will give you daily quests, they will defend your building, and some will even give you story quests or even romance opportunities. And I'll let you figure that out for yourself. But there's also new and updated locations in the game. Obviously, every location is technically updated since they added all the human NPCs into the game. But they've also, because of this, they've added some new no camp zones. And don't be worried about this. You will be notified upon entering the game. And you are able to move your camp for free if it is in one of these new no camp zones, which is nice. They also added some new events. I'm pretty sure there's 2 new events. And then there are 4 new daily quests. And I'll let you guys find those on your own. I don't want to give them away or anything. So I'll let you just deal with that. But to further kind of explain the story that is that they've added into Fallout 76, they've made it so that way there are 2 factions that you can actually start building trust with and kind of get the story rolling with. So you've got the Raiders, and the Raiders have come from Appalachia and claim that the land belongs to them. So they're basically like invaders, essentially. And then you've also got the settlers who moved to Appalachia from Washington, D.C., and started setting up camp. And as you become better friends with the factions, which is tracked from reputation, you can receive better gear from them. And you can increase reputation by doing story quests, making decisions, and daily quests as well. And there's also a little hidden surprise in there for the factions as well that I'm sure you'll know when you come across it, or know if you've already played it and are listening to this podcast. That is between the 2 factions. And I'll let you discover that on your own once again. They've also added some new enemies. So one of the new enemies is actually a new mini-boss, which is the Wendigo Colossus. So before in the game we had Wendigos, and now they've added a mini-boss based off of the Wendigos, and it is much larger, trust me. And you can find this in the like the post-nuke area. That's where they tend to spawn. It's not a very likely spawn, so you kind of have to keep farming it. You have to go there, kind of kill everything that's there, and then make your way back out of the area, then come back until the Wendigo Colossus spawns. So you could have it the very first time you go there, you could have it the 10th time you go there. It all goes down to chance. But another thing that they've added from previous Fallouts is the floaters. So you've got 3 different types of floaters. You've got the Flamer, the Freezer, and the Chomper. And you could probably guess what those do if you have played previous Fallout games. And then you've also got some Blood Eagles. And then you've also got the Cult of the Mothman. And the Mothman, for those who don't know, it's kind of a Easter egg side quest type deal that is within the game, just to build lore and stuff like that. And so apparently they're adding some cultists into the game that are for the Mothman specifically. And I think that's just to add more lore, since there weren't many human NPCs with kind of a cultist type view within the game. Many, I should say. But you've got 2 new weapons as well to combat these enemies, which is the Gauss minigun and Gauss shotgun. And so, yeah, so those 2 guns, I don't know exactly how you can get them. I'm pretty sure, or actually I know for a fact you can get them from doing stuff for the factions, but I don't know if you can get them otherwise, or how you can get them otherwise if so. They've also done an increase for the quality of life for the game. They've been doing this in spurts ever since the game first came out because of how much the game was screwed up. I'll just say it flat out right there. But luckily there is not as much frame dropping or crashing within the game, at least that I've noticed. Clipping it has been heavily reduced. I haven't been under the map yet, which is very surprising, especially since, like I said, I only played for 3 hours, and I probably clipped under the map like 4 times. And that was when I was doing the original Fallout 76 episode, which I'll actually leave in the description if you guys want to listen to that and hear how crap the game was when it first came out. And like I said, they've been doing quality of life stuff ever since the game came out, and they've been doing a good job with that. But they have also been like adding in some new updates that weren't necessarily needed and actually were mostly disliked. Like they had the the Vault 96, I think is what it was called, or 94, I think, actually. The Vault 94 raid, and then they also had the Nuclear Winter. And in this update, they actually got rid of the Vault 94 raid. And they've also made it so that way Nuclear Winter, it's the storm, how big it is based off of the number of players that are in the session, because they noticed that there is a large enough community for the Nuclear Winter gameplay for them not to get rid of it, but there is not nearly enough for them to constantly have people loading for a full game size, especially on consoles. On PC, it's more likely, but yeah, that's why they changed that up a bit. And then they've also made it to go back to quality of life. They made it so that way enemies aren't like kind of screwed up anymore where they're T-posing or they don't have a hitbox, or they even do a different amount of damage or different attacks than what they're actually meant to do. I don't know what that was about, but I heard something like that. I could also just be entirely mistaken, but I wouldn't be surprised. But I also haven't seen buildings disappear yet, which is cool. But I think that was also just a week 1 thing. I don't think that really made it past that far. But I definitely saw a couple buildings disappear when I was first playing the game. So yeah. And then you've also got quest markers have been updated, so that way they will appear on the map at all time. Now they have different shapes, sizes, colorations, everything like that. Like if you don't have a side mission selected, it'll be like blacked out kind of. And different types of missions will be different shapes and sizes. And yeah, so it makes navigating the world a lot easier. And I think they also made it so that way the map isn't glitched anymore, because I think there was even times when quest markers were supposed to show up, they still didn't. And so I believe they fixed that as well. And the quest markers give you more information on the quest as well if you were to select it, which is cool. And even just helps in general, especially if you are in a group of people. And you don't necessarily know what quest you're doing, you can always go into the map, select it, and see what the whole thing is about. Or even if you're just not paying attention in general. Like, I tend to space out in games sometimes. I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. But yeah, they also updated some graphics, like the day and night cycle. I don't know exactly what they changed about the day and night cycle, but they said that they changed something about it. But I have noticed a lighting improvement in the game, which they also said they fixed. Now, landscapes look a lot better than they did. I don't know what the difference is, honestly. I mean, obviously it's lighting, but but I don't know. I feel like if I had 2 pictures next to each other, I might be able to spot the difference and describe it to you, but now it just kind of feels better. It's almost like when PUBG got their lighting update for the game that made everyone's games crash, except for luckily this one does not make your game crash, which is surprising, because it is a big improvement. And yeah, so they've also done something really big and really cool, besides the rest of this entire update. But they made it so that way building, customization, and crafting is smoother, and they've updated it overall by adding in some new items. And then you've also got the new weapons as well. And like I said before, if your camp is now in one of the no camp areas, then you will be notified when you first enter your world, and you'll have the chance to move it on your own. It's completely free, so you don't have to worry about paying for it at all. So yeah. So that is the entire episode for Fallout 76 Wastelanders. I feel like I went through that really quickly, actually, quicker than I was expecting to. There is a lot of content. I just sometimes when I get out of the podcasting groove for a while, like I haven't been doing this for the past couple of weeks, I tend to talk really fast through stuff, so I'm sorry if the information didn't get across as well with it. But definitely make sure you check out Bethesda's patch notes. It has a lot of good description in there, and then obviously you've got YouTube videos as well you can watch. And just online articles as well. But yeah, I just want to say that Bethesda did a really good job on this. And yeah, and they really listened to the community, and adding this it's basically an entire new Fallout game that they put inside of this one. Luckily, they just saved some time on a map, is kind of what it was, honestly. And they even added stuff to the map, which is awesome. And the new story is good. I'd recommend playing it. It feels like a Fallout game now. The previous Fallout felt just like it felt like the combat, and it didn't, actually, I was going to say exploration, but it didn't even really feel like the exploration, because you didn't have the chance to talk to random people out in the world, meeting either crazy people or really smart people, or people who were just, I don't even really know how to describe some Fallout characters, honestly, but I'm sure you guys know if you've played some of the previous Fallout games. So yeah, but it's been really nice now, going through the game, and you can definitely see some changes. Like, I've already seen some people that I knew weren't there before, and conversation is interesting. And now I'm really glad they brought back the voice lines now that you can choose from, because that makes the game a whole lot more interesting. It doesn't make it feel like you're just kind of wandering around shooting random things that you can, or doing these events that feel almost pointless. So once again, I'm really thankful to Bethesda for continuing to work at it for 1.5 years. Just absolutely, because I'm pretty sure this came out in November of 2018. Am I right about that? I think so. But yeah, it's just, they continued working on it for so long. I feel like a lot of companies would have just abandoned the project altogether, maybe even shut down the servers. I don't even know. But I feel like they're actually starting to profit off of this. And before, obviously, they did profit off of it because they denied people, giving back their games. But I also just mean in general in community support now. Now they're profiting in that category as well, and that is a very good thing for any company whatsoever. And I also do want to apologize on my part for being 2 weeks late. I still had my eyes on the official announcement and thought this was coming out on the 7th, so I was preparing to do the episode for last week rather than this week, because I was not expecting it to be pushed back a week. When it came to release, that is. So I'm sorry I missed last week. I don't have an excuse for the previous week, just that it's been hard, with all of this stuff going on. And speaking of that as well, I have officially released my Patreon. I've officially released my Patreon, and I'd really love the support. And any donations that you can, because, like I said, it's been hard. It's not easy making money. And if I don't have any money, then I can't buy video games to to review for you guys, or even buy better equipment for my at-home studio here. But yeah, game on.
Find AFCast on Instagram and Twitter, @AFCommunity, for any updates on future podcast episodes. If you want to join the community Discord, find the link in the description or on the website, afcommunity.com.